Alright, in this video I want to show you how you can use this spreadsheet in order to actually perform the bisection method. If you recall, the formula that was in the spreadsheet initially was e to the x minus 2. And so if you want to change the spreadsheet so that you can use it for different formulas, there's a few places that you have to go and make these changes so everything will work out correctly. Note that I did send you guys two different spreadsheets. So one of them I've labeled as minus plus, and then there's another one that's labeled as plus minus. This just indicates for you whether or not the lower endpoint is negative and then the upper is positive, or if it's the other way around. And you may not know that until you actually take one of the spreadsheets and plug in some initial values to figure out where your zeros are. But once you do that, make sure you use the correct spreadsheet, because some of the code that's in the background running to help you find the zeros is not going to work correctly if you don't have that done. So I'm starting with this spreadsheet, and first I'm going to go change the function. So let's try this for the function. Let's say x squared instead of e to the x squared minus x minus 2. So I'm just going to put it here in this cell. This cell B1, remember, is just a complete text cell. It just holds the information so we'll remember what the function is for any particular problem. Now if you look over here, cell D1's got f of 1 is equal to. I'm going to change this because in our problem we're not going to necessarily use f of 1, but let's just call that f of a. All right, so we're going to pick an a in a minute and we'll plug it into the function and see what happens when we enter our function. And then the same thing over here, this is not always going to be f of 2, this is going to be f of b. And b will change depending upon which problem we're trying to do and what kind of interval we're looking for to find the zeros. Okay, so now I need to actually evaluate f of a. So here I'm going to have my lower limit. I'll put something there in a minute, but I'm not going to put anything now, and I'll have an upper limit. So the lower limit, if I want to know what f of a is, it's going to be the function evaluated at a. And so the function that I'm going to use this time is going to be x squared minus x minus 2. So in this particular case, x is going to be whatever I put in there. So I'm going to come to this cell, which is E1, and I want to start a function. So I'm going to type equals. That lets the spreadsheet know that I'm working with the function. And so what am I going to put in there? Well, I'm going to take whatever the value is here, which happens to be B4. I'm going to square that value. Then I'm going to subtract that value, B4 again, because it's x squared minus x. And then I'm going to subtract 2. So now I have the formula to calculate f of a for my particular problem. I'll hit return. And so f of a is minus 2, which is what I would have expected. If you plug minus 2 in this function, you get 0 minus 2. Okay, f of b is over here. And so f of b would be the functional value at the upper endpoint. And so I'm going to put in here, this should be equals, because that's how I start a function. And then I click on this cell, which is C4. So that's going to be my upper limit, and that's supposed to get squared. Then minus, again, that x value, which is C4. And then minus 2, and I'll hit return. And of course, that gives me minus 2 as well. So I know that I don't have the right lower and upper limits because I just put 0, 0, so we just start fresh. Okay, so I can stick something in here and see what I get. So let's stick in something like 1.5, just completely random. When I stick in 1.5, you see that the functional value changed over here to minus 1.2. So that was negative. Okay, and then let me see, I'm going to pick another value here for the upper limit. So let me pick something, I don't know, like 3. Hit return, and then notice that over here f of b is now 4, because now it's evaluating the function when the x value is 3. So it looks like I've got the right spreadsheet, because if you look here, f of a is equal to minus 1.25. And f of b is equal to 4. So I've got an interval, a, b, where the functional value is negative and where it's positive. And that means I'm using the right spreadsheet here, because lower gives me something negative, upper gives me something positive. And I know now that my actual 0, the x value I'm looking for, is somewhere between 1.5 and 3. So everything looks good there. Okay, notice that this column right here does the approximation, and the approximation is just the midpoint or the average of your lower and upper. So the average of 1.5 and 3 should be 2.25. Okay, so now I got one more place I've got to put the function in, because what I'm supposed to do now is I'm supposed to evaluate my function f of x at my new approximate, which is 2.25. And that's what's supposed to go in this column, because see here, it says function value of the middle, and the approximation is always going to be the middle. So let me get over here, and notice when I click on that cell, it's telling me that the function there is d4 squared minus d4 minus 2. So I had done this before, so I put it there. But under normal circumstances, that wouldn't be there, and I'd have to actually do that. So let me do it for you so we can understand what's happening. So this right here, it's going to be my new function. It should be equal to, now what should it be equal to? Well, it should take my approximate, which is 2.25, which happens to be d4. It's supposed to square that approximate. So I've got it squared. Then it's supposed to be minus d4 again, because it's x squared minus x, and then minus 2. All right, so I hit return there. All right, and so what do I get? I get 0.812. So I'm just going to click on that cell again, make sure I got everything in there right. I got equals d4 squared minus d4 minus 2. So everything is fine. So now this one right here is telling me that when I plug in the approximate, I get something that's positive. So we know that means that our formerly, the endpoint that formerly gave me something that was positive should now be replaced with 2.25. And so we want to make sure that our formula here is actually doing that. So here I have 0.812 from 2.25, and which endpoint gave me the positive value before? Well, it was 3, right? Because f of 3 was equal to 4. So that means that that endpoint there should now be replaced in my second interval by 2.25, and that's what the formula has done for me. Okay, so everything seems to be working well. So what I need to do now is I need to copy and paste all of these things down their columns. So for example, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy that, and this is however your particular computer does it. I'm on a Mac, so I can do Command C on my keyboard. That copies that. Then I'm just going to come on and drag down the column, and this is just leftover, so however long I want to, and I'm going to do Command V, which pastes it. Again, that's however your particular computer system works to copy and paste. Okay, so also over here, these are all midpoints, so that's fine. But I want to come over here and I want to take these if statements, which help me determine which of the endpoints to replace, and they're going to already be set as long as you've picked the right spreadsheet for your minus plus case or your plus minus case. And then I'm just going to copy these things down. So I'm going to say Control C, and I'm going to copy that all the way down. Some of these things might be okay, but I'm just doing it to make sure. So I lock that in. And then over here, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to do Control C. I'm going to drag that all the way down to all the other cells. And I'm going to copy that in. So I'm going to paste it now, Control V. And so I've got all that in there. And now, if I haven't made any mistakes, I got everything copied in, I think, I should be able to look down my spreadsheet. And I should start seeing places where my values over here, the function, should be getting closer and closer to 0. So let's start looking at some of these. So you got the first one there is 0.812. The second one is minus 0.359, then 0.19. So those are all getting smaller. Then look at this one, minus 0.092. And if I come on down, you start seeing that I start getting things like minus point, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros there. And so I can go down to a place where, you know, look at this guy right here. I've got zeros all the way across, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't even count them, all right, all the way to double precision zeros. Okay, so if, for example, my problem called for me to find a place where I had maybe 4 decimal places, then I'm just going to count these zeros afterwards, because what I really want is this column over here. Just remember, the function value of the middle, that should be 0, because I'm trying to find the x value that makes x squared minus x equal to 0. So I can just come down here and see, look, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 0 to 4 decimal places. So the approximate is 2.0000000. So you see that. And so what you probably already can anticipate, if I go way down here, this value is getting closer and closer to 2. And you see these values here are all 2s with all these zeros behind it. So it depends on what my question is asking for. Then what we've got over here is this nice graphic that pops up for you. So what you see is that I've got some oscillation here in my approximates, but look at how they go. Asymptotically, they all get closer and closer to what is about 2. So I look like I'm in good shape. So hopefully this is going to help you use those spreadsheets that I've sent to you. Good luck.